Hey, what's up guys? Csaba here from Game of Conversions, and I'm back with another proven sales letter breakdown video. This one's going to be shorter, and finally I'm going to cover a piece from Claude Hopkins. And if you've been living under a rock and you don't know who Claude Hopkins is, basically he is the founder of direct response marketing. Okay, so all the things that I do on this channel, all the type of copy that I cover, they're all direct response type of copy. And direct response marketing basically means that you're trying to get a response directly from your ad, okay? You're not just building brand awareness or something like McDonald's or Nike. You're measurably trying to get a response, a sale, a subscription, something like that. And Claude Hopkins was the grandfather of this whole thing. And in the early 1900s, he had a crazy idea. He thought, what if advertisement itself was only measured on terms of its effectiveness? So it wasn't about how creative it is or how many awards it gives people or to companies, which still happens to this day, obviously. And most marketing is like that. But he figured, advertisement, it should be compensated just like how salesmen are compensated, based on commission and based on the results, right? So that's why he developed a whole new framework, which was super innovative in those times, and he probably got a lot of flack for it as well. But fortunately, nowadays, we have this awesome thing called direct response marketing and direct response copywriting. And ultimately, you can owe it to Claude Hopkins himself, because he was the first person who figured out a way to look at advertisement itself as a science, okay? And his book, Scientific Advertising, it's still one of the staple books that you can read as a copywriter, even in 2021, okay? So I definitely recommend you check out that book. In fact, I'm gonna leave a link below this video with a helpful post of common copywriting books that I recommend people read, copywriting and marketing books. And one of the first books there actually is Scientific Advertising from Claude Hopkins, okay? So definitely make sure to eventually add that to your reading list. It's not necessarily the easiest book today to read, but it's still more useful than most books, the 90% of books on this topic you'll find today, okay? It's like the Bible of direct response marketing. But let's see an ad from Claude Hopkins himself, which was written in 1909, okay? So over 110 years old. But as we go through this, just notice how it's super persuasive. If you want to buy milk, and there are, several versions for milk for you to try, something like this can definitely convince people, persuade people to try the superior version, your brand version, right? The same could be said for, buying almond milk or a special type of almond milk today, okay? It's all about, especially in this ad, it's all about showcasing the uniqueness of the product itself, so the unique mechanism, how it works, and it's all about reason why copy. So explaining why this is superior, how it works. And this is another great example of how the advertisement itself is valuable, okay? In most cases, what most people do is that they just write something which sounds cool or funny or smart or just creative, in quotes, creative, and that's it, okay? They don't really give value to people. They try to sell them overly aggressively in most cases, or try to give them some obscure little message. But this one, it actually is like a persuasive, logical argument why you should try this Van Camp's milk. It's simply different, and let's just dive deeper into it to see why that is. So the headline itself, it's really simple. It just says, to housewives who buy condensed milk. So we're immediately calling out our target audience, so that, probably this was featured in a newsletter or like a newspaper, And you know, as people were skimming through it, obviously you want the target audience to immediately notice it. And Claude Hopkins chose to feature a headline which calls people out immediately. Nowadays, we still do these things in many cases, but this often acts as the pre-head, okay? Not the main headline, but the pre-head. And then you have a post-head as well. So, so after the main headline, we also have a post-head, which in today's marketing could probably be the main head or some version of it. And it says, condensed milk is wasteful. It is sweet and unnatural. It has but limited use. Please let us explain why Van Kemp's milk is better. So immediately, you know, he is positioning this Van Kemp's milk as a superior alternative to many other products like milk. Milk is almost like a commodity, okay? It's like a plain product, right? So why not highlight how yours is superior? Why not find faults in the traditional type of product that most people don't even think about? They just say, you know, I like milk, so I buy milk. That's it. But he highlights that back in those times, most milk had a lot of sugar in it, right? And then there was this company who developed a unique mechanism by condensing milk, and they developed a unique type of production system that manufactures this type of milk. And that's what Claude Hopkins is actually highlighting here, okay? And another great example of this was with his Schlitz Beer advertisement. So what he did basically is that there was this beer, Schlitz Beer. It wasn't anything special. It was just some beer, and it wasn't really that good in terms of sales. But he found a little story that he included in his advertisements, which highlighted basically the fact that the company that manufactures Schlitz Beer spends a lot of time, you know, using the purest water there is, and ensuring that, you know, the beer is super pure, because purity was something very important back in those days in beer. And everybody just saying that, oh, our beer is so pure. But what Claude Hopkins did instead, and this reminds me of David Ogilvy and his big ideas, is that he actually toured the facility, the factory itself, and he interviewed technical people as well. And when he discovered that, you know, there's this whole process, this whole elaborate process that goes into purifying the beer and making sure it's super pure, he made sure to highlight this in the ad itself. And it took Schlitz Beer from, I think, the 5th in the state to like 2nd in the nation or something like that. And you know, the best thing about this is that every single beer used the same technology, okay? Every single one. But none of them highlighted it because they just didn't think it was useful for people. But Claude Hopkins realized this, and he realized that by highlighting the unique mechanism on what makes this product different compared to others, he can drastically increase sales. And a very similar thing is happening here as well. So we immediately call out the audience, we open up, like no beating around the bush. Hey, here's why my product is better. And then we go on to say that there are thousands of people who think that condensed milk is very much like Van Kemp's. They are buying condensed milk for the part of their use and Milkman's milk for the rest. So nowadays this might seem a little bit obscure because we don't use Milkman anymore, but older audiences in my audience can definitely relate to this. So we are taking the space in our mutual interest to explain where the difference lies. So this whole thing, it's the lead. Basically, it just sets up a false belief because people believe something incorrectly. And then it also sets up a problem, which is like, you know, regular milk. It's not really that useful, or it's not really that good. And it promises that if you read this article, it will be helpful to you. It will give you value. And notice how this itself, even though it's an ad, it's just like a helpful article. It's just like something illuminating to most people. And I guess that, you know, a lot of housewives who this is targeted to, they never thought about these things. And maybe this is something innovative, this type of milk back in those days at least. So then we get the big reveal, which is like condensed milk is nearly half sugar. And this is a big pain point, because like even in those days, I think people knew that, you know, sugar isn't really that good. It makes you fat, and why should you pay for sugar when you want milk? It's okay to have sugar in your cakes, but like why should you have milk and sugar? Because back in those days, you know, preserving milk was probably a way bigger challenge than nowadays. They didn't have like pasteurized milk, for example, and they added sugar to it, just like they add sugar to jams and these types of sweet things, because it actually extends the shelf life of a certain product. Okay, and that's what was the traditional thing to do back in those days. And then Claude Hopkins actually spends a lot of copy just explaining that, hey, there's a lot of sugar, like 40 to 50% of your milk is sugar, and the reason for that is because they want to keep the milk sweet, because I'm guessing, you know, a lot of milk got sour because there was no preservatives back then, and they added sugar to cover it up and to also maybe try to sell milk for longer periods of time without people really noticing that much. But we already sense how, you know, he is setting up the case, just like a legal case, against traditional condensed milk, because it's inferior to most people, this regular version of condensed milk. And then we get a contrast saying that Van Camp's is pure milk. So this is how we're different, how we're better. And we also get introduced to the unique selling proposition, at least a version of it, because to my knowledge, it was Ross Reeves, probably, who invented the concept of the USP in the 60s or 70s. And we have like a proto USP here by saying that, you know, Van Camp's is simply rich Holstein milk with 2/3 the water evaporated. There is no sugar in it, no starch, no preservative, nothing whatever but milk. So just highlighting how this product is unique. Okay, then we have a little bit of proof by saying that, you know, the company Van Camp has plants in 6 states, so that assumes that, you know, it's a legit company. It gives a little bit of credibility to the company itself. And then we get a very nice explanation about the unique mechanism of the solution. So this is a great example of reason why copy, and I covered reason why copy many times before, especially related to Gary Bencivenga, but to many other people as well. If you haven't seen those videos, link below this one in the description. Definitely check it out. There are 71 other videos in the playlist at this moment as I'm shooting this video, and you should definitely check it out, because like reason why copy is one of the crucial elements of the persuasion equation, basically how you can get people from you know, non-buyers to buyers. And a very similar thing is happening here. Even before Claude Hopkins learned about these things from other copywriters, he was the one who invented these things. And even though it's slightly different compared to how we use it today, but in terms, it's very similar as well, because it just gives people a logical explanation into why this is different. And it makes sense, you know, especially in those times. Probably I noticed that these older space ads, they're called space ads, by the way, they use much more logical type of copy. So I think, you know, there was less emotional build up to the whole thing. You didn't really need it because the marketplace wasn't really that saturated. If you had a good reason, then it was enough to persuade people. Then, you know, copywriters had to add more and more emotional elements to the whole sales argument, because people became more and more skeptic, right? And even these, like, they are triggering emotions, but most of the ad is made up of reason why copy. And as we go further, we still notice the same things. So this is an important benefit for the target audience. For example, 28% solids. Okay, so this evaporated milk is 28% solids, 8% butterfat. So wow, people feel like, wow, I'm getting more butterfat or more solids. Probably it was something important, especially the protein part of the milk. And Claude Hopkins actually had other ads related to diet stuff, like oat brands, and he even had like some high protein foods even before paleo and keto and all these things. He had a few ads promoting high protein foods and also like meat and steaks and stuff like that. So let me leave a comment below if you want me to break down more Claude Hopkins stuff, and I'll probably do it. But leave a comment, let me know, because obviously I also want to create content that's interesting for you. So we have a little bit of important benefit for the target audience. Then we have future pacing. Again, future pacing, but it's very similar to how we use it today, because he says when you open the can and replace the water, you have whole rich milk without any subtraction or any addition, save a slight almond flavor due to sterilization. So it future paces what's going to happen when you buy the product, when you open this. It's a more advanced copywriting thing or persuasion thing, but it's very effective. And then we have another subhead which says paying a double price for sugar. Condensed milk may be also evaporated, but each can contains about as much sugar as milk. So we get into yet another argument into how traditional condensed milk is way inferior compared to this one, because it has a lot of sugar and you're paying a lot of money for extra sugar that you don't need. And here I noticed that Claude Hopkins starts introducing another cool copywriting technique called contextualization. And what this means is that I'm doing contextualization as I'm saying this actually. So what this means, or let's figure out what this means. You basically make a claim and then put it into context so that people actually understand it, okay? It makes more sense to them, okay? That's what's happening here. And when you combine that with reason why copy, it can be super effective. So let's see how he does it. He says, paying a double price for sugar. Condensed milk may be also evaporated, but each can contains about as much sugar as milk. Let us figure out what this means. The large can of Van Kemp's contains 16 ounces of evaporated milk. That means a full pint, a full pound. If you buy Van Kemp's by the case and replace the water which we take out, you get a rich milk at about 6 cents per quart. The 10-cent cans of condensed milk contain only 12 ounces, 4 ounces less than Van Kemp's, and about half the condensed milk is sugar, for which you are paying more than twice what sugar is worth. So notice, it is exactly like an argument in a court case, okay? That is what reason why copy is. He puts it in the context and he explains it. And it makes sense for people. As they're reading this, they feel like, wow, okay, I never thought about that, but now that you say it, I don't want to be the sucker who pays double the price for something I don't even want, right? So this definitely does an emotional, it has an emotional effect as well. And then we bring in another major emotional and problematic area, which is unfit for cooking. So think about it. The target audience for this, housewives who buy condensed milk. So they cook a lot, okay? And by explaining how, traditional milk isn't really good for cooking because it's made up of sugar, mostly like half of it is sugar, and like you're gonna mess up your foods. It's gonna be way too sweet, and it just wouldn't really come out that way. But Van Kemp's milk, it's a better alternative. It's a better option for you if you want to cook something, and it's the finest milk in America. So again, we have a little bit of USP action going on there, and then we have another contextualization element. He says, please note what this means. So I noticed that Claude Hopkins uses this a lot, and it's a smart move because the more you make the case, the better your ad is going to convert. It's just plain and simple. So whenever you claim something like this, the finest milk in America, and this is how it works, hey, let me explain. And then you basically describe something, a reason why, or a unique mechanism. And in this case, he is describing the unique mechanism of the problem. Normally, we have the explanation of the unique mechanism of the problem earlier, and then we have the unique mechanism of the solution. Here, it's inverted because we had somewhere here, I think, yes, the unique mechanism of the solution was explained first, like how Van Kemp milk uses a proprietary technology that it's better. And now, at this point, towards the end of the ad, we have the unique mechanism of the problem that explains how, normal milk what happens, what actually happens that makes normal condensed milk or normal milk inferior to Van Camp's milk. And it's a little bit switched, but it's still effective. And then at the end, use only one milk. You no longer need the milkman. If you use this, it's the better choice. It's the smarter choice. So this is just there to try to move people to, hey, be the smart one, okay? I've shown you so many reasons why you should choose this one. I've shown you it's a no-brainer. So go ahead and from now on buy this one, okay? Because it's economical, it's cheaper, there's no waste, it's more convenient to you, and all that good stuff. So a lot of benefits that our target audience probably wants. And at the end, we have like another proto future pacing type of element, because he says if you prove these facts, you who use condensed milk will gladly change to Van Camp's. So it kind of assumes that, hey, if you actually think about these things, it makes sense to use Van Camp's milk, and you are going to use it, okay? So it's kind of like some type of future pacing element, okay? And then at the end, we have a hero shot of the product itself. We have even more reason why copy, and I like how, Claude Hopkins, even 110 years ago, he was thinking about AOV optimization, which means average order value optimization. He wanted to increase the amount of money people spend on average for your product, okay? And he doesn't just sell the product. He says, hey, it's actually a better deal if you buy the bigger can, because we have two cans. We have the 5-cent can, and we have the 10-cent can. And if you buy the 10-cent, you actually get way more. So you get a better deal, a better price-performance ratio, a better bang for your buck. So, it probably makes even more money for the company itself. And then we don't have a traditional call to action here. We have like the brand name of the company, Van Camp's Milk, evaporated, sterilized, unsweetened. So like the brand name with a little bit of USP. And then it just says, you can basically buy this at our dairies in 6 states by the Van Camp's Packing Corporation, Indianapolis, Indiana. So there's no real call to action, because this newspaper style didn't really use order forms or something like that, but it still gives people some sort of implicit call to action in that, hey, start looking for this in 6 states, okay? Because if you do, then make sure to check it out, okay? So it's hard to measure. So even though Claude Hopkins was the founder of scientific advertisement, it's still, like back in those days, it was super hard to measure real data. Even to this day, like data attribution and syncing everything up so that you actually see the correct KPIs on your advertisement campaigns, it's difficult. And in those days, it was super difficult. So he didn't really use a call to action that like newer type of copywriting examples use, but I think this is still, it gets the message across. It plants that seed of doubt in people, and it makes them look smarter in front of their friends as well, because now they know that, oh, in normal milk, this is why it's worse, and this Van Camp's milk, this is why it's better. So, and they also got a lot of value from it as well. So yeah, great example. 110-year-old ad. You can still reuse many of elements of this one in your own modern day ads. So if you were to sell an almond milk product, for example, then you should still use something like this, okay? Not exactly this, but a lot of elements, especially the reason why copy and the unique mechanism copy. You can definitely reuse stuff from there, okay? So I hope you like this one. It's super in the morning as I'm doing this here, so I'm a bit still sleepy. But if you enjoyed this video, then leave a like, okay? Leave a comment, share this video with others, because my mission is to create the biggest proven sales letter breakdown library on YouTube that people can watch for free. So to give people an option to learn copywriting and to get a world-class education, okay, without paying for it actually. So I'm on this mission. If you want to help me, then make sure to spread the word. I definitely appreciate it. And leave a comment, let me know your #1 takeaway. So thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, and see you in the next one.